So I finished Last of Us last week, and
Awesome.
I know you already get a lot of praise and attention, and you deserve it, of course. But it's been a long process for you. And did you have a clear vision in sight to begin with, or did it start out messy and shaky? And
Yeah, we didn't know what we were going to make, and we were like playing with sci-fi for a long time. We played with the idea of doing another Jack and Daxter, but pretty soon we settled on this concept of doing an entire game where the whole game is going to be based around this relationship. Like, we felt gameplay and mechanics and actions really lend themselves to building a bond with another character more so than other mediums, and we felt like if we do everything around these two characters, we could create an experience, a relationship unlike ones you've experienced in a game before. So I'd say from that point forward, that has always been the core of the vision, and we've always stayed true to that. And every decision, whether about its gameplay mechanics or the environments or aesthetic or music, has always come back to what is it that we need to sell this relationship between Joel and Ellie.
So you're going to see if Niell and I are lying? Like, we have like two different viewpoints? Yeah, all right, cool.
you know, that's how we work.
You know, Niell ultimately handles the relationship with the actors, the performances, works really closely with the character artists to model the characters that he has in his head, and also like what the actor, like taking likenesses from the people hired for the positions, and of course the story. And then I kind of take care of, like, I'm the rudder of the ship for all of production, like getting what's on the joystick and like the feeling of the mechanics and the controls and you know, pacing, layout. But it really has to be a relationship between Niell and I where we have to see eye to eye on everything. So it starts in this little cave that we have, that we just sit in there and look into each other's eyes and talk about ideas. I mean, it really is us bouncing off, like, what would be fun? What would be fun to play right now? What's a little moment that we feel is interesting for characters and turns of characters? And, like, you know, we've done a lot of research on story, and we went to a Robert McKee seminar like years ago together, and from that came a great relationship and a respect for story and how many parallels there are, and like conflict propelling a scene, like creating a, you know, like motivations to get the characters, like through obstacles, the gap between expectation and result. These are all like tools used in good script writing and good story, period. And we said, like, wow, how amazing this is that this is really gameplay.
Ellie. Hey, what are you, Joel?
Bill!
What are you doing?
Bill! Turn around and get on your knees.
Calm down a second.
Turn around. All right. Get on your knees. Don't test me. Just
Take it easy.
any bites. Anything sprout? God damn it, I'm clean.
So coming out of Uncharted 2, right?
Yeah.
Which was much more of a thrill ride.
Yeah.
How did you end up on such? It's a much darker note, really. I mean, it feels more mature in a way as well, because it's so realistic and believable. But it's also a little more. It's a sad story, really. I mean, in a good way. But do you see my point? How
Sure.
did you end up there?
The motto for Uncharted 2 was we wanted to create an action summer blockbuster. We wanted to have that roller coaster and have the pacing of the ups and the downs. It's not just like we're pinned to 11, because without the contrast and having low moments, like the high moments don't really speak to you. So that was kind of Uncharted's theme, and then one of the first things we were talking about with this game was just like, let's bring it all back down to the personal.
The structure of the game was initially such that there was this antagonist that was chasing Joel and Ellie throughout the country. And for a long time it just felt contrived. Like, you couldn't buy in this world why someone would hate these characters so much that they would chase after them to like the ends of the earth. And once we said, okay, we really like these characters, we really like these moments where they're chasing, and we would cut back and forth between Joel and Ellie to this character, and you'd see the kind of, the idea that you can't escape your past, and this character is coming after Joel. But once we took a step back and just removed that character, and the structure totally changed, it felt like, this feels much more right. This feels much more just these two characters on a journey. It doesn't need this Hollywood kind of structure to sell it, and it just, everything fell into place.
Did you ever feel limited by the genre or the game mechanics or the game, you know, around this?
Oh, all the time, because, you know, we wanted to make such a grounded experience in a real world, even though there are these infected, and, you know, the temptation is always there. And you see this in all these games where no matter how serious the tone is, we go what we call gamey. And you always want to, should we add a gadget? Should we add some hook shots? Should we make the infected fly? Or should we do this like 2-story tall infected? How do we give maybe like Joel or Ellie powers? And you know, the temptation is always there to make the game more fun or more engaging, or to give you some ways to level up the mechanics. But you know, it took like a lot of like discipline to say no, and like no, like and a lot of times, you know, like I was saying, we would put stuff in the game and then take a step back and say, is this what we need? And if the answer is no, we would have to cut it and remove it and find the fun, find the flow within those mechanics that are grounded in the characters.
Playing through the adventure and seeing how different people are surviving, you kind of ask, like, do the ends justify the means? And that goes for Joel and Ellie, and how their perspective on things, like, they're not necessarily good or bad, they're flawed humans. And I think that makes them more likable, because I can relate to them, because everybody I know is flawed just like I'm flawed, and that like kind of makes everybody more endearing, because I do that too. I kind of mess up, you know, okay. But then when we trust each other and we build that bond of trust, that's where it really comes down to, like, all right, this is intimate, this is a relationship, this means something, that's meaningful.